Yeah, I'm curious if you want to talk about the QHHT session that we
Yeah, we
did
absolutely should.
together,
Yes.
because it's something I'm so interested in doing more with pregnant women. Like as
Yes.
a birth doula, I find it can be a really amazing way to help prepare for birth and open up to like the other areas and other sides of the veil and connect to our intuition.
Yeah.
So do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I had not even heard of it before you said that you were offering and doing it. This stuff is so up my alley, like exploring beyond what we can see. Um, so I asked you if we could do a QHHT. I think I was in my second trimester.
Mhm.
Um, and
It was maybe almost a year ago.
yeah,
Mhm.
it was around
Mhm.
this time.
Yeah.
And you came to my house, and I had a very powerful experience. I it, it was so interesting because what was revealed to me of like what I feel like was a past life, um, as a man with a family, and messages of me having maybe like a history of having a savior complex that's never been fulfilled. And that's something I've thought about afterwards. And actually, that's one of the reasons why I've been able to let go of convincing people of anything
Mm,
anymore.
yeah.
I don't need to rescue anyone because everyone's capable of rescuing themselves, right? So, but in that, I had a very powerful visitation from my my beloved dog,
Mhm.
Carmen, who was a soulmate to me, like truly. And
That was so beautiful because it was after the death scene going to the other side. And I always like to ask, like, who's there? Are there any beings there? And it's so different and unique for every person what they'll experience. And then for you, it was an emotional reaction first, and
yeah,
then you were able to tell me what you
yeah.
were seeing.
Oh yeah, like I feel like I just like it was like just I just like poured water out of my face because I just she's like one of the loves of my life, you know. She was there for me when like I was in a really dark. It's funny, it makes me cry because I love
Hmm.
her. She was someone who saved me from a dark place. Anyways, she wasn't my personal dog, she was my parents, but I believe that she was brought into the family for me. And actually she confirmed that in our
Mm.
she said, I'm a guardian angel of yours, and we don't often come, but I came to you in extraordinary circumstances, and that everything was going to be okay, and to trust because you were going to be fearful and question yourself during pregnancy, sorry, during the birth, and to not be afraid because everything's going to be fine. And it was funny because it was uh I like after that session with you, that stuck with me for a long time, but then it sort of faded,
Mhm.
as things do. And you're for anyone who's ever been pregnant before, you know that your mind sort of you're floating in the clouds, especially like leading up to the
Oh
actual
yeah.
like where
Oh
was
yeah.
I don't really
Oh
remember.
yeah. Well, we
But
start to like step through the veil. So where our consciousness is just not really here. I love it. I love
it's
watching women in that state, just seeing their eyes like
yeah,
one of my friends would be like, look at the leaves on that tree.
it's the
Like
ultimate
you're
high.
high. Yeah, you're high.
Yes, it was. It was such a trip. There's the second day I was in labor, active labor, and I just opened the door to get some fresh air. And a dog who looked identical to Carmen was walking by, and I had never seen this dog in my neighborhood before. I didn't know she's a golden cocker spaniel. It's not a typical around here, and it just like was like a reminder.
Yeah.
I think I laughed. Like I was in awe and I laughed and I thought, of
Oh,
course. And it
so
was just,
wild.
it tickled me in a way because I was like, yes, oh yeah, don't forget, like this is hard right now, but everything's gonna be fine. And it's interesting because the room that I gave birth in, which is the room I'm speaking to you in, is the room that she exited the
Mm-hmm.
world in. And I really had just had this hope, because I was laboring all over the house. This is where I wanted to be. It's like a portal, like a very
Mm-hmm.
powerful portal. And I felt like she was with me during that experience. But when she spoke to me in the QHHT, she was a human being, like
Yeah, right.
it was the shape of a human being, but I knew it was her at the same time. And it was just like, wow, I just couldn't believe it. That's something that I'll never forget.
Mm-hmm.
It fuels something, and it gives me this boost to know that I am so loved and supported in an unconditional way. It you could be alone in this physical world, but having that knowledge is like,
Mm-hmm.
it's priceless. It gives me a confidence, like it's a source of energy that we'll tap into for the rest of my life, and so
Yeah.
grateful for. And the QHHT, like, yes, if you're anyone, but pregnancy especially, I feel like you will have a message revealed to you that will serve you so well, not only in birth but in motherhood
Mm-hmm.
forward. Like, it was
Yeah.
so awesome. It was
Because
one of the
that's
best investments.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was so wonderful to work with you, and I wanted like kind of bring the two together, niche, quantum healing, and hypnosis and motherhood and pregnancy. And yeah, because like you were saying, the mind starts checking out. So as humans, do we know how to connect with the other layers of ourselves? Do we know how to navigate those other subconscious worlds? Most of us don't, because it's not part of our culture to do that regularly. So that's why I think it's a beautiful practice. And I'm offering more group sessions that are online as well, and possibly in person locally too, for women to get a taste and start exploring and having these discussions together. Um, yeah, and like I said, that's what I wish, the practitioners, medical practitioners would know better, is how to listen and connect women to those parts of themselves, and for themselves to be connected there. There would be so much more wisdom and love and understanding between everyone that would exist. But we'll get there slowly but surely.
I agree. We spend so much time in pregnancy in particular, like nurturing our physical body, focus on the physical body.
Yeah.
But there's so many more components to these layers. And I think if everyone could have the gift of something like a QHHT session, it would just, yeah, it's like a leveling up experience.
Mm.
I can't speak more highly of it. Like, you should definitely get in touch with Emilie for it, because it was one of the best things that I did during my pregnancy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Erin, before we close today, do you have any words of wisdom or advice you want to share to mothers? Like, what's the first thing on your heart that would come out to for anyone listening, anyone about to embark on this path, or any woman who thinks she's too old to have a baby? Yeah, what do you want to share?
Well, I've learned that is simply not true. And I've met women since through you who
Mhm.
are in my age bracket, who have not only had children in my age, but are contemplating having more, with joy and excitement. Um,
Mhm.
you're only eh, as old as some people really lean into being older. I've seen you sort of run the gamut. I've seen people in my age bracket in 40s who will be so youthful, or the opposite. It's really the life
Mhm.
that you live. But you know if you are able to welcome a child into this world and keep up with them. I certainly do. I love he's given me this, because even though I feel like birth, finally officially became an adult, I also still see the world through the childlike wonder that he brings, and I want
Oh,
to
yeah,
maintain that
true.
for the rest of my life. So, like, it's
Hmm.
beautiful
Yeah.
mix. And also another thing that I would say is, like, if you're apprehensive about uh, going the allopathic route, but you're not 100% sure that like you can do it all on your own. There is a middle path.
Mhm.
That's one thing that I didn't see a lot reflected in when I was looking. You know, you
Yeah.
would either be working with a midwife or birthing in the hospital or doing it alone. And that having support and having a middle ground experience was like kind of rare, but you can like you
Mhm.
can have a birth at home with some support without having to take all of the allopathic trimmings,
Yeah.
and you can make it like you can tailor it to
100%.
exactly to your needs. And I
Yeah.
found that, and I do feel lucky that I got to have that experience with my first.
Mhm.
It's like you said,
Yeah.
a lot of women come to it from a place of a traumatic prior um, birthing experience, and
Mhm.
it makes me sad.
Yeah, and I would encourage everyone to interview, different women, different practitioners, even when you're working with your midwives, and just really feel into what your intuition is saying. Like sometimes a situation might not be perfect, but it might be actually where you still feel safest, and it's important to trust that and not also just follow trends.
Yes.
Like even for a next birth, I don't know if I would free birth again, maybe, but I'm gonna wait until that moment, and I feel like that's when I'll know if it comes again. And even in terms of birth attendants, there are, yeah, a wide range of what the different women offer, the skills that they have. I personally don't call myself a birth attendant. I feel like I don't have the experience and skills yet. I'm definitely more of a birth doula, but if anyone is interested, I am connected to an amazing network of birth attendants who are attending births outside of the system that I can connect people with. And definitely Erin had a great experience with her, and I've only heard good things. So I would recommend her as well to reach out for people who are in our area.
Yeah.
Okay, great, Erin. Thanks so much. I'm going to turn the recording off, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your week.